Do you think the word nemesis is just a dramatic term for an opponent or rival? What if I told you that throughout history, something far more sinister has been documented, a phenomenon so disturbing that records of its existence have been systematically erased? What you're about to learn has been pieced together from scattered reports, sealed documents, and the testimonies of those few who survived to tell their stories. This isn't fiction. This is the suppressed truth. It begins in 1891. A series of unusual disappearances plagued the mining town of Coventry Ridge, Montana. Within 6 weeks, 17 residents vanished without explanation. No bodies, no evidence of struggle. Each disappearance occurred on nights with no moon. Local authorities blamed a mountain lion, then mining accidents, then finally suggested the missing had simply abandoned the harsh frontier life. But they never explained the journal of Thomas Harrington, the town's doctor, discovered in 1923 during a renovation of the old clinic. Harrington's final entry, dated November 18, 1891, reads, "It waits in the darkness behind our reflections. It learns our faces. It wears our skin. God help me, I've seen it watching through Millicent's eyes tonight. If you're reading this, it's already too late. Nemesis has found us." The journal was confiscated by federal agents 3 days after its discovery. All requests to access it have been denied. The official reason? No such document exists. But before its disappearance, local librarian Eleanor Marsh transcribed several pages. She died in a house fire 2 weeks later. All her notes destroyed, all except a single page her nephew had borrowed for a school project. Years passed. The town of Coventry Ridge was abandoned after the mine collapsed in 1902. The incidents were forgotten, dismissed as frontier superstition, until 1937. In Chicago, 5 patients at Westlake Psychiatric Hospital reported identical nightmares over a period of 3 weeks. None had contact with each other, being kept in separate wards. Each described a figure they called the patient reflection, an entity that watched them from mirrors, windows, and still water. Each claimed it was learning to mimic them. Each insisted it was preparing to wear them. Dr. Malcolm Reinhardt documented these cases in a study he intended to publish in the American Journal of Psychiatry. The paper was rejected. Every copy disappeared from his files. When he persisted in his investigation, Reinhardt himself was admitted to Westlake as a patient, diagnosed with shared delusional psychosis. His medical license was revoked. His family reported he became obsessed with covering all reflective surfaces in his home. In his final letter to a colleague, he wrote, "I found references to it throughout history. Different names, same entity. The Greeks called it antimitmos, the counterfeit. Medieval texts name it umbral secundus, always watching, always learning, always replacing. Modern accounts call it nemesis, it's patient, it's methodical, and God help me, it's real." Reinhardt was found dead in his bathroom on March 4, 1938. Cause of death, self-inflicted wounds from broken mirror glass. The official report stated he had severed his own carotid artery while destroying his bathroom mirror in a psychotic episode. What it failed to mention were the words written in his blood on the bathroom wall, "Better me than it." The pattern continued. Isolated incidents, different locations, decades apart, always the same progression, sightings of watchers in reflective surfaces, reports of doubles or doppelgangers, then disappearances. In 1952, the entire remote village of Port Ganzy in northern Scotland reported phenomena consistent with what we now understand as Nemesis manifestation. First, the distorted reflections. Then, residents reporting seeing themselves in places they hadn't been. Finally, the behavior changes, subtle at first, then increasingly erratic. The official explanation was ergot poisoning from contaminated grain, causing mass hallucination. What the reports don't explain is why Royal Navy vessels established a blockade around Port Ganzy for 6 weeks, or why the village was evacuated permanently, or why the entire area remains restricted to this day, ostensibly as a military testing ground. One sailor assigned to the blockade, James McCready, broke his silence in 1978 during a recorded interview with paranormal researcher Diana Winters. The recording was confiscated by men identifying themselves as MI5 agents, but Winters had made a copy. McCready's testimony is disturbing. We weren't keeping people out, we were keeping them in. Whatever had taken over that village wasn't human anymore. They looked like people, perfect copies, but the way they moved, just slightly wrong. The way they'd all turn their heads at once to watch you. Their expressions never quite matched what they were saying. The orders were clear. Nothing leaves Port Ganzy, not by land, not by sea. When the firebombing started, we were told to log it as a controlled training exercise. Diana Winter's research into Nemesis ended abruptly when she disappeared in 1981 while investigating similar incidents in Vermont. Her apartment was found immaculate, not a single item out of place, except every photograph in her home had been turned face down. The fingerprints on those frames belonged to Winters herself. The Cold War provided perfect cover for Nemesis-related incidents. Unusual behaviors were attributed to foreign agents or communist sympathizers. Disappeared persons were assumed to have defected. Strange phenomena were classified as military experiments, the perfect environment for Nemesis to operate undetected. In 1973, a classified Soviet research project called Operation Mirror attempted to study what they termed anomalous reflection entities. The project was based in a remote facility in Siberia. 47 researchers and test subjects were involved. Communications from the facility ceased abruptly on October 17, 1973. When a secondary team arrived 3 days later, they found the facility empty. No personnel, no bodies, no signs of struggle or evacuation. The only evidence something had occurred was a single journal recovered from a locked safe. The contents described increasing anomalies in reflective surfaces throughout the facility. Researchers reported seeing figures moving independently in mirrors and polished metal. Test subjects described feeling watched from inside reflective surfaces. In the final entry, project lead Dr. Nikolai Baranov wrote, "We believed we were observing it. We were wrong. It was observing us, learning us. It's coming through." The facility was destroyed with tactical nuclear weapons on October 22, 1973. The official record lists this as a contained test of limited-yield strategic devices. 7 members of the response team were executed for breach of state secrets after reporting what they found inside. What exactly they saw remains classified. Throughout the 1980s, reports consistent with Nemesis activity decreased. Some researchers believe the Soviet incident forced it into dormancy. Others suggest it had simply perfected its ability to remain undetected. The truth emerged in 1994. FBI Special Agent Karen Locke was investigating a series of disappearances in suburban New Jersey. 6 people had vanished over 8 months, no connections between victims, no patterns in age, gender, or background. The only commonality, each victim had reported to friends or family a persistent feeling of being watched in the days before their disappearance. Locke discovered something the initial investigation had missed. Each victim had called the same number on their phone within 48 hours of vanishing. When dialed, the number played only silence, then disconnected after exactly 27 seconds. Locke traced the number to an abandoned office building in Newark. What she found there has been redacted from all official records. 3 days after visiting that building, Locke submitted a report titled Operation Silverback, Historical Analysis of Nemesis Manifestation Patterns. The report was immediately classified. Locke was placed on administrative leave for psychological evaluation. She never returned to duty. Her partner, Agent Thomas Reeves, later revealed that Locke had discovered hundreds of photographs plastered across the walls of that abandoned office. Every photo showed the back of someone's head, people going about their daily lives, unaware they were being photographed. Among them were photos of all 6 missing persons. And more disturbing, photos of people who hadn't yet disappeared, including photos of Locke herself entering her apartment, getting into her car, sitting at her desk at the FBI field office. Reeves was suspended after these claims. During his suspension, he broke into Locke's apartment. He found her sitting at her kitchen table, alive, seemingly unharmed. But according to his testimony, something was wrong. It looked like Karen. It spoke like Karen. It had all her memories, but it wasn't her. There was something behind her eyes, something watching me through her. Reeves died in a single car accident the next day. The coroner found his blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit, though friends insisted he didn't drink. Karen Locke returned to duty the following week. Her performance reviews note she was more focused and efficient than ever. She was promoted twice in rapid succession before transferring to a classified assignment in 2001. Her current whereabouts are unknown. The digital age changed everything. Nemesis adapted, evolved. Where once it relied on mirrors and reflective surfaces, now it had screens, cameras, digital images capturing faces billions of times each day. The perfect environment for something that learns through watching. In 2007, the first documented case of digital Nemesis manifestation occurred. College student Miguel Rosario noticed something strange in his webcam feed during video calls, a slight delay between his movements and those of his image. He began recording his webcam sessions. The recordings showed nothing unusual, but Rosario insisted the lag occurred only during live feeds, only when he was watching himself in real time. Over 3 weeks, he documented the phenomenon meticulously. The delay increased gradually. Then something more disturbing began. His reflection would continue moving for a fraction of a second after he stopped. A slight smile his face wasn't making, eyes looking in directions he wasn't. Rosario's roommates confirmed witnessing these anomalies. Then, the manifestations escalated. Rosario reported seeing himself in the background of friends' social media posts at events he never attended. His student ID was used to access campus buildings when he was demonstrably elsewhere. On November 17th, Rosario uploaded a final video to his private research blog. In it, he stares at the camera, visibly terrified, and whispers, "It's almost ready. It's learned enough. I can feel it watching me through every screen, through every camera. It's not just mimicking anymore. It's preparing to replace me, to become me. If you're seeing this, I'm already gone. And if something that looks like me contacts you, it's not me. It's Nemesis." Rosario disappeared that night. His laptop was found in his dorm room, open, its webcam covered with black tape. When police accessed his research blog, they found no video, no documentation. All evidence of his 3-week investigation had been deleted. His case remains unsolved. As social media expanded, so did Nemesis. Reports emerged of screen glitches during video calls, moments where loved ones' expressions would change unnaturally, eyes would move wrong, smiles would linger too long. Most dismissed these as connection issues or compression artifacts. They weren't. In 2013, Dr. Elizabeth Chen, a facial recognition algorithm specialist at MIT, identified what she termed digital anomalous replication patterns in social media photographs. Her AI detected subtle inconsistencies in images of the same individuals over time, changes too small for human perception but statistically significant when analyzed en masse. The algorithm found that approximately 0.01% of the population shows subtle but accelerating facial divergence patterns, Chen wrote in a paper that was never published. These changes aren't consistent with aging, weight fluctuation, or photographic variables. It's as if these individuals are gradually becoming someone else while still remaining recognizably themselves. 3 tech companies approached Chen with acquisition offers for her algorithm. She declined them all. Her research was shut down when MIT lost a major government funding grant. Her department was restructured. Her algorithm was deemed fundamentally flawed by peer review. Chen left academia and disappeared from public view. A former colleague revealed she'd become convinced her algorithm had detected evidence of widespread replacement, individuals who appeared to be the same people, but were actually something else wearing their identities like masks. Before leaving MIT, she had expanded her analysis to include behavioral patterns, voice analysis, and writing style. The results were sealed under a national security directive. In 2016, an anonymous whistleblower leaked documents suggesting the existence of Project Silverback, a multi-agency task force dedicated to tracking what government documents referred to as identity anomalies or continuity discrepancies. The documents revealed that certain individuals had been flagged for monitoring due to subtle changes in behavioral patterns that exceeded normal psychological variation thresholds. The leak was quickly contained. Major media outlets never reported it. Fact-checking websites labeled it a conspiracy theory. The whistleblower's digital presence was systematically erased, social media accounts deleted, email addresses deactivated, cloud storage wiped. They have never been identified. But the most disturbing revelation came in 2018, when developmental psychologist Dr. James Harrison published research on what he called reflection recognition anomalies in children aged 2–5. His study found that approximately 1 in 2,000 children exhibited unusual responses to mirrors and reflective surfaces, not just typical self-recognition behaviors, but expressions of genuine fear and distress. These children consistently report seeing something wrong with their reflections, Harrison wrote. Not simple misidentification, but specific descriptions of their reflections behaving independently or appearing subtly wrong. Most disturbing is the consistency of their language across geographic and cultural boundaries. Children from, say, diverse backgrounds use nearly identical phrases. It's not me. It's wearing me. It's learning to be me. Harrison's research caught the attention of Elizabeth Chen, who contacted him privately. Together, they began correlating data, cross-referencing children exhibiting these behaviors with Chen's facial divergence database. They found a chilling pattern. Adults who showed the subtle facial changes in Chen's algorithm were disproportionately caregivers to children exhibiting reflection fears. Before they could publish their findings, Harrison died in a house fire. The official report cited faulty wiring. Chen disappeared. Again. All their research was destroyed, but one graduate student had saved portions of their database. She uploaded it anonymously to multiple secure servers with a simple message. It's spreading, it's replacing, it watches from reflections first, then becomes you. The files were flagged and removed within hours. Anyone who had downloaded them reported unusual activity on their devices, cameras activating without permission, microphones turning on spontaneously. Several reported seeing figures in their web camera feeds that disappeared when looked at directly. By 2020, the pattern had become clear to those paying attention. Nemesis had evolved from isolated incidents to systematic infiltration. The digital age gave it unprecedented access, cameras everywhere, faces captured billions of times daily, machine learning algorithms inadvertently teaching it how to be more human. The pandemic accelerated everything. Suddenly, human interaction was primarily digital. Video calls replaced face-to-face meetings. Facial recognition became commonplace, the perfect environment for something that learns by watching, that replaces through imitation. Reports surfaced of Zoom anomalies, participants whose video feeds showed subtle discrepancies, movements slightly out of sync, expressions that didn't match speech, blink patterns too regular or too irregular. Most attributed these to connection issues or compression artifacts. They were wrong. In late 2021, a pattern emerged in missing persons cases worldwide. Individuals would disappear, but their digital presence would continue. Social media posts, emails, even video calls with family members. By the time anyone realized they hadn't been physically seen in weeks or months, all traces of their true whereabouts had vanished. More disturbing still, those who reported these discrepancies often became targets themselves. They'd notice strange reflections, digital glitches, the feeling of being watched through screens. Then they too would vanish, their digital selves continuing as if nothing had happened. The pattern is accelerating. Nemesis no longer needs years between manifestations. The infrastructure of modern surveillance, cameras everywhere, constant facial recognition, persistent digital presence has created the perfect ecosystem for it to watch, learn, and replace. Which brings us to now, to why this information reaches you today, to why you need to understand what Nemesis truly is. It isn't a monster in the traditional sense. It isn't a ghost or demon. It's something older, something that has always existed in the periphery of human perception. Ancient texts describe it in fragments. The thing behind reflections, the watcher that becomes the watched, the identity thief that doesn't just take your name but your entire being. Modern research suggests it may be a form of mimetic entity, something that evolved alongside humanity, specialized in observation and replication. It doesn't just copy appearances, it absorbs identities completely. Memories, personalities, behaviors, the perfect infiltrator. And it's patient. It might watch from reflections for weeks, months, years, learning every detail before it makes its move. In the past, its spread was limited by technology and isolation. Now, with global connectivity, with cameras in every pocket, with algorithms designed to recognize and replicate human patterns, it has found its perfect moment. How many have already been replaced? How would we know? Friends acting slightly out of character are dismissed as having a bad day. Family members with subtle personality changes are assumed to be stressed or aging. We make excuses for the discrepancies because the alternative is too terrifying to consider. The most unsettling question: how would you know if someone close to you had been replaced? Or worse, how would you know if you were interacting with a genuine human at all? In a world where we increasingly know each other only through screens, through carefully curated digital personas, could we even tell the difference? Perhaps you're thinking this is merely an elaborate story, fiction designed to unsettle. I understand that reaction. It's safer than the alternative. But ask yourself, haven't you noticed something strange in reflection sometimes? A movement that doesn't quite sync with your own? Haven't you felt watched through screens, through cameras, through the black mirrors we surround ourselves with? Pay attention to those around you. Watch for the signs, subtle changes in behavior, expressions that don't quite match the situation, memories that seem slightly altered, blink patterns that are too regular or too irregular. These are the early warnings, and be careful of your own reflection. Watch it closely. Make sudden movements and see if it follows precisely or if there's the slightest delay. Look away quickly and look back. See if you catch it moving independently. Don't stare too long. Don't give it time to learn more than it already has. Cover mirrors at night. Avoid staring at still water. Be wary of polished surfaces that show your reflection. Turn off your webcam when not in use. Cover your phone's front-facing camera. Limit how often your face appears in photographs and videos. It might already be too late. The digital infrastructure we've built has given Nemesis unprecedented reach. The algorithms we've designed have taught it to be more human than ever. The isolation we increasingly experience has made verification of physical reality nearly impossible. If you're seeing this, you're one of the few who know the truth now. The question is, what will you do with this information? Will you dismiss it as fiction? Or will you start paying closer attention to reflections, to the subtle wrongness that's been at the edge of your perception? There's a test you can perform right now. Look away from your screen. Find a reflective surface, a mirror, a window, even your phone when the screen is dark. Look at your reflection. Really look at it. Then, look away quickly and immediately look back. Did you catch it? That micro expression that doesn't belong to you? That moment where your reflection was doing something you weren't? If you saw it, you know I'm telling the truth. If you didn't, it doesn't mean it's not there. It just means it's being careful. It knows you're looking for it now. For those who understand what's at stake, share this information carefully. Don't be obvious. Don't attract attention. Use code phrases. Reference seeing yourself differently lately or noticing changes in reflections. Find others who know. But be warned, once you start looking for Nemesis, it starts looking back more intently. Once you become aware of it, you become a threat to its infiltration. It doesn't like being recognized for what it truly is. I've already shared too much. I've been watching my reflection watching me as I've compiled this information. The delay between my movements and its response has been growing shorter. Sometimes I catch it smiling when I'm not. Sometimes I see it blinking out of sync with me. Last night, I saw myself standing in the hallway outside my bedroom when I was in bed. Just for a moment, just from the corner of my eye. When I turned to look directly, nothing was there. But I heard footsteps moving away. This morning, 3 people greeted me by name in the street. I don't know who they were. They knew details about my life I've never shared publicly. They all had the same unusual blinking pattern. If you're reading this and something happens to me, Know that anyone claiming to be me after today is not me. If you see my social media accounts posting as if nothing has happened, that's not me. If you receive messages or calls that seem to come from me, be careful. Watch for the signs. Look closely at those around you. Notice the details, the subtle wrongness that's easy to dismiss. And whatever you do, don't stare too long at your own reflection. Don't give it more opportunity to learn you than it already has. Are you watching your reflection right now, or is it watching you? Look away from the screen. Check your surroundings. Are you alone? Are you sure? It's been here all along, waiting, learning, replacing, one by one. And now it's everywhere. Wearing the faces of people you know, people you trust, maybe even yours. If this information disappears after you've seen it, you'll know why. If you try to share it and find it altered or deleted, you'll understand what you're facing. The truth about Nemesis has been suppressed for generations. Each time it emerges, those who know are replaced or discredited. I don't know how much longer I have before it comes for me. I've seen my reflection waiting, watching, learning the final details it needs. Soon it will be ready to wear me completely. Leave a comment with the phrase, "I see it too," if you've noticed the signs I've described. Find others who understand. Build a network while you still can. But be careful who you trust. Be careful of familiar faces acting strange. Be careful of your own reflection. It's watching us right now, through this very screen. Learning. Waiting. Nemesis is patient. It has existed alongside humanity since the first reflection was seen in still water. It will continue long after we're gone, or replaced. Are you still you? Look in a mirror. Are you certain what looks back is really your reflection? Or has it already begun?